when we sing, where are we anchored? Where are we anchored? I think we need to be anchored in our culture. We need to be anchored on our people. We need to be anchored in our traditions. Because even if we look at the Education 5.0, the dictates of Education 5.0 is looking at the heritage based. That's where we need to be anchored into. Because I'm sure many people, when they are reporting about climate change, they are looking only at the conventional methods of climate, ignoring the unconventional methods, which are traditional. Where is our Shona meteorology? We need to know. If I go kumusha kuna mbuya ndoa uzakuti, woni uzakuti wakufana kurima mswa 15. But as a journalist, as a filmmaker, I may need to, interrogate it. Chiri environment menu chinoratidza kuti kune drought kana kuti kune climate change. Those people, they know. They will tell you kuti kana mazhanja akawandisa, it shows kuti hakuna mvura. They will tell you kuti kana urekure dzikawanda hakuna mvura. So what I'm saying is just we need to marry the conventional methods and the unconventional methods. And also what's his name? Takudzwa was saying here about our culture, about our languages. We need to do what we call narrative of return, whereby we are saying we need to go back to the known, what we know about our culture, and to the unknown. Right? We can't write about the unknown without knowing, our own. In a nutshell, I'm saying let's marry the conventional and unconventional. That's just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. I see a hand up there, but I just want to give the mic to Dr. Mabasa. He's the only Zimbabwean who wrote his thesis in Chikombingo. He's a writer, he's a he's everything. He does a lot of stuff. Because there was this issue of language that was brought up. I want him to react to that, because I think he has a lot to say. Over to you, Dr. Mabasa.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah, it's probably, my comment will be an extension of what Prof just said, but also Takudzwa touched on that. In fact, you all touched on that. And also, I think when we watched the Rumbis trailer, what made it more appealing to me was, what he said, you hear people speaking in a language that is bringing out issues that really speak of how they feel. Because I always told people when I was teaching in the United States, I got to a point where one day I just forgot my English. I had been giving public lectures, and you just get to a point where your mind goes to your default settings, and your audience is looking at you and saying, what's happening? But it was simply saying, this is who I am. There is something that I have spent a lot of time in, which is not me. But I think part of what we are trying to say is, as long as there is probably it's a disconnect, but I think Ruby touched on it when she said something like, speak to the hearts of people. Did you say something like that? Speak to the hearts of people through content. How do you do that? If people are struggling to understand certain words, yet at the end of the day, the moment you leave, or the moment we are off camera, I then start saying, so already you have created a barrier because of language. And the real story is not in the English or in the, it's the story that I wanted to say but could not say because you limited me, and I feel, oh, yeah, they need those who are eloquent, so I can't participate. So yes, let us democratize knowledge, let us democratize communications for real. Yeah, I think we have too many layers. It's not better. Let us be real, and it is only through real conversations that we are able to say, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mabasa. I am still seems that there are 3 hands up. I'll allow you to quickly, a minute each, just to say what you wish to say.
Minute yakawandisa chaiyo. Right, here's what I'm thinking and suggesting as well. I identified a number of problems ranging from the need of capacity building, issues around the language, packaging and the likes. Right. In terms of climate change, there is what we call climate change space. So the first thing, you have to enter the space, and so that you then start to speak the same language with the experts, with those who are already there in that space. So once you enter that space, there is capacity building. After capacity building, you then find your own niche, your own area to say, I'm now specializing in climate change mitigation. I'm now into adaptation. I'm now focusing on carbon credits. I'm now focusing on climate financing. It's all done in space. Outside space, ukanyora usiri space, ma1, inaroita ma1. Thank you.
Okay, so just coming from the perspective of young people, the attention span, it sucks. You know, a lot of us can't watch things that are over 2 minutes long without getting bored. So coming back to what you were saying, Ms. Katedza, about packaging the films or the series or whatever it is in a way that's appealing. If you go with the story about climate change, chances are you're gonna get rejected. So I'm thinking of a more practical solution. That might be a bit on the edge, but I think it would really work because we've seen it being used like in most films we watch as young people. Subliminal messages. So subliminal messages, if you're not familiar, these are messages, these are images or messages within a film or a script that you can't consciously perceive at the moment, but consequently they influence your behavior or your attitude. So that comes back to our writing. Our writing needs to become more complex if we're actually going to push this whole agenda of, you know, awareness in terms of climate change. You can still have a fun, interesting show or film that's exciting and nerve-wracking, but with subliminal messages that will ultimately push people to actually be more engaged when it comes to climate change. So that's just my suggestion.
They can't watch an interview every 2 or an hour, but they can watch live your mate 8 hours, the whole day to and also issue about capacitation of journalists. So Kelvin mentioned my fellowships, but then the problem that we face mostly about fellowships is that one or two people are 25 years and below, but then they want great experience. I just want experience actually because we can't get my back. That's what the narrative of Namara has put around. That's one of the problems I face.
Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to comment more on the issue of language. What I would say is that as journalists, in terms of how we deliver or our intended audience, it differs. Maybe it could be the outside community and so on. But where we get the source of information, our resource people, try by all means to ask them which language they are comfortable in. If they are comfortable in Shona, they will send either a voice note in Shona or respond to you in Shona. And then you then get all the information that you need from a perspective of how they understand. Then from there now you can do your stories in English, in whatever, depending with your audience. So this is what I was just saying, that we need to make sure, we need to create a comfort space for the resource person.
Thank you very much. I see more hands up. We have another presentation before we break for lunch, so I wanted to quickly move to that. I'll just allow you that quickly.
So as a creative, I have a question. How do we have capacity building in terms of how we come together and tell stories that are appealing to our audiences, right? So my major question is clarity on storytelling. Because I'm hearing language and whatnot, but I also want to know about the clarity aspect. Like, as creatives, are we clear-minded?
Thank you very much. I think we are already setting the agenda. So I just want to give our presenters just 1 minute each.